Good day, everyone. Meteorologist Mark Muller here. Glad to have you here with me for this edition of Wintry MeteoMark's Weather. Look at what we have going on here. We're going to have a big old low-pressure system from the Ohio Valley. That's going to be meeting up with a redevelopment of a coastal low. There is going to be a trough of low pressure somewhere in this region as this low pressure transfers some energy to the coast. To the north of this, we're going to see a lot of snowfall here, some widespread snow accumulations. We're going to get into all the details of what we could be looking at as this system pulls up into parts of the Northeast, and we could have some lake enhancement as well. That's why we have winter storm warnings in many areas going on. Let's get into it. All right, so taking a quick peek at snowfall amounts before we get into the model run here, I'm going to show you in further detail. You can see the big swath of 2 to 5 inches with locally higher amounts in the purple areas, upwards of 8 to as much as 16 inches. And as we get up into the Northeast here, our trusty European model, you can see what's going on. This is a lot of this into Friday, into early Saturday, and there into Sunday. So yeah, the lake belt areas, that's where the enhancement's going to come into effect. A general 2 to 5 inches outside those areas, 8 to 16 in some of these persistent lake enhanced bands. And here's a quick peek at the mesoscale model. There it is, a general 2 to 5 inches. It's a little bit lesser here into parts of the snowbelt areas, still looking at a good 5 to 10 inches. Some of these areas could see upwards of 10 to 14 inches on this model. All right, let's start off with your HRRR future radar. As we head throughout the overnight hours, you can see the snow is pivoting east here, even as far south as Kentucky here. Some mixed precipitation across eastern Tennessee. It has been cold across most to the east here. And look at this snow situation. You know, you're going to see widespread 2 to 5 inch amounts here. Those snow belt areas, though, that's where you're going to see more of the 6 to 12 locally higher amounts likely. So as we continue to go in time here, this is 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Friday morning. Look at the snow is breaking out all the way back from the Ohio Valley, all the way to the nation's capital, Baltimore, Binghamton, Scranton, all the way towards southern New Jersey here, starting to light snow here across the Hudson Valley. I think these winter weather advisories will likely be expanded north here, but let's just zoom out here. You can see the expanse of what's going on. You got this area of low pressure that's going to be transitioning from here down to here, and there is a trough kind of hung up here across Pennsylvania. It's along, and just to the north of this trough is where you're going to set up the heaviest snowfall rates, and that's going to continue as we head through 8 a.m., 9 a.m., so you can see with the morning commute. Look at this, southern New Jersey, parts of Delaware, southeastern Pennsylvania. You could see some bursts of heavier snow for the morning commute. Snow continuing back towards Cleveland as well. You can see the expanse of this snow here. Look at what's happening here. You're getting a northeast flow initially, and then it's going to switch to northwest, but you're going to get this banding action off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. That's what's going to help enhance the snow. Now, this is 9 a.m. on Friday morning. You can see the low pressure starting to blow up here just offshore. Most of that is going to stay off to the east, although look what happens with the trough here. I do caution you because in the afternoon, look at these striated bands of snowfall here across New York, Pennsylvania, and eastern Ohio. And then look at this here from southern New Jersey, parts of Long Island, Cape Cod. You could be getting clips, so there could be localized mesoscale banding features within this, and this is going to be a very interesting snowfall situation here. It kind of starts consolidating towards 4 p.m., but look at the expanse of snow is still in a very large area, even down here into the northern half of Delmarva here. So this is looking like a pretty decent snow situation. It's not going to be massive blockbuster, but you can see what's going on here that starts to move away towards 1 a.m. on Saturday here. You know, what's happening here is you see lake effect here off all of the Great Lakes. And I think these areas up here into Lake Erie, Lake Ontario region, that's where you're going to see more of the heavier snowfall accumulations with that enhancement. Let's just go back. See that lake enhancement. You can see the banding action of the snowfall here. Watch this as we go in time, especially around the Cleveland, Erie area. That's basically from the early morning hours, 4 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 5 p.m. There's going to be that lake enhancement component coming off Lake Erie and Lake Ontario. And then, of course, southern New Jersey, that's the big wild card here up to Long Island, Cape Cod. These areas could get clipped. All right, so we get into our European model here. There is our big storm. Well, not necessarily blockbuster, but it is a large storm. So we got first low pressure weakening here. The coastal low taking over. This is 7 a.m. on Friday. You can see the expansion of all the moisture here from the Ohio Valley lakes. And you can see it here on the European model. See the bend in these isobars? That is essentially that inverted trough that's going to kick on and really help to enhance the snowfall along and especially north of this trough axis. You can see where it is, 1 p.m. So the European is really handling the storm very well, I think. And it's where that trough sets up. You can see there it is, the bend in the isobars. This is towards 7 p.m. So this is lining up with Cleveland down through Philadelphia here. So this tells me this corridor will have some of the best lift during the storm to get at least 2 to 5 inches, of course, towards Cleveland and Erie. That's where you're going to see anywhere from, say, 8 to most likely 12, 13, 14 inches of snow. And here it is moving off to the northeast. It pretty much skips out to sea. And look at that. Lake effects continuing, especially around Erie, Pennsylvania, Syracuse, New York. This is 10 a.m. on, there it is, Saturday morning. So the lake effect just continues to pummel parts of northeastern Ohio, northwestern Pennsylvania. And there's that area of high pressure with our next storm system moving in just in time for Monday and Tuesday of next week. All right, so take a look at the GFS here. It gives us a really good idea synoptically of what's going to go on. So here it is. It is a fast-moving system, so I do warn you, it's going to zip along here. But here it is towards 1 a.m. on Friday morning. You can see the expanse of the snow pretty much lining up with our HRRR future radar. Look at this, though. Bringing some heavier snow down into Richmond, Washington, D.C., Baltimore. So the GFS is a little bit further to the south here, but nevertheless, we're bringing in snow here to much of Pennsylvania and the southern tier of New York. GFS slides us off a little bit further to the south and to the east. You can still see lake enhancement up here towards Cleveland and Buffalo. This is towards 10 a.m. on Friday. So, the trend is for this storm to move a little bit faster here, and this is towards 10 p.m. Friday. Look how fast this thing is booking it off to the northeast. Now, what is going on here into the medium term? You can see lake effects continuing here southeast of Lake Erie, Ontario, Michigan, all the Great Lakes for that matter, as a big old high pressure system kicks in here across much of the east. And as we continue to go out in time, our next big system comes out to January 22nd here. So we're getting into Monday. Look what's happening. Yeah, this is where we're going to see a piece of energy from the four corners catch up here. We got Gulf moisture, severe thunderstorms across parts of Texas, and a freezing rain ice scenario here for eastern Oklahoma. That quickly shifts to rain. Very serious, strong to severe thunderstorms across eastern Texas. And look at this next system blasting up mixed precipitation here in that cold air. It looks like the warm air is eventually going to win out here as we get into Tuesday, 10 a.m. Look what's going on. Cleveland's switching over to all rain here. And look at this as we pivot towards Wednesday of next week. It starts out as frozen precipitation here into parts of the northeast. There's southern Ontario and Quebec as well getting in on the snow. But look how fast this thing moves up towards New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and out to sea. And look at this. This sets us up for a very warm time of it as we go through the 26th of January. Maybe a little bit of frozen precipitation on the northern part of this towards the 27th, 28th, but you can see the warm air is kind of trying to win out here with some bouts of cold spells here across the lakes and the northeast. All right, so our snowfall analysis here for the Mid-Atlantic, Appalachians, Ohio Valley, the northeast. Here it is in better detail. You can see what's going on here. We do have this area from Cleveland all the way up to north of Syracuse, Watertown area. Includes Erie, Buffalo, Cleveland, Rochester, Watertown. These areas are going to see at least, I believe, 8 inches of snow, maybe maxing out around 12, 13, 14 inches, and isolated areas towards 16. Also, the eastern mountains of West Virginia here. Outside of this, all the way to the coastline here, too, in New Jersey, upwards of 2 to 3 inches. Outside these heaviest snow bands, a general 2 to 5 inches can be likely. And if you take a look at the GFS model, a very similar picture here as we go through at least Monday here. See what's going on. You see this area of 2 to 5 inches all the way to the coast, 2, 3, maybe, closer to southern New Jersey here. 2 throughout here, the Susquehanna Valley, anywhere from 3 to 5 inches, and then back towards, Ohio, Cleveland, all the way up to Buffalo. A little bit less towards Watertown there, but a general 6 to as much as 12 inches here. And here we go with our mesoscale HRRR model in better detail from what I showed you at the beginning of the video. You can see what's going on here. that behind where this low pressure system blasts off to the northeast, these lake enhanced bands, that is where you're going to see localized amounts upwards of 8 to maybe as much as 14, 15, 16 inches of snow. Outside of this, the 2, 3, 4, 5 inch range seems to be likely, those higher ridge tops especially. All right, so our European run here for North America, you can see, way up here in eastern Canada, western Canada, Cascades, but the big story is going to be this system as we head through into Friday into Saturday. There it is. Lots of 2 to 5 inch amounts here with locally higher, those snow belt areas where you get the lake enhancement, the mountain ranges. And then look at that. Into next week, we add a little bit more as we get a little clipper system as we head from about Tuesday into Wednesday. It'll add a couple inches on top of this. Beyond that, we don't really see too much except towards the next weekend time frame. We add a little heavy snow burst, but a lot can change between now and then. So your liquid precipitation amounts here, take a look at this. Yeah, so this is going to amount anywhere from a third to, a quarter to a third of an inch here across much of the Ohio Valley into the northeast, parts of the South Florida, a little bit heavier towards half an inch. That next system, really weak blasts into the Pacific Northwest and the Southwest there, but there is that big system heading out of the Western Gulf here. Eastern Texas, you're going to see some strong to severe thunderstorms down here. Heavy rain as well. Upwards of 2, 3, maybe as much as 4 inches of rain. And look at that. That blast to the north. This system later on in the week looks like it will be a big rainfall producer. Look at this. Some of these areas here into parts of the southeast could be looking at 4 to as much as, do I dare say it, 8 inches of rain. All right, so if we take a look at the upper air pattern here, this gives us a good idea. There it is of what's going on this weekend. Look at that blasting trough here across the east. That's going to be a fading memory as we head into next week. Look at this Inferno Firecracker Ridge. This is usually always associated with a big old area of high pressure. And it's going to be well above average here temperatures. That pretty much persists through the end of January. And look at this. This is by January 28th. Look at this. Where is winter across much of North America? It almost looks like it doesn't exist. So what in the world is going on with the temperatures? Well, we get that big surge of cold air here to the east over the weekend. And you can see that surge is pretty far south. But watch what happens next week here. That cold air retreats way up here into northern Canada. Look at the warming trend from the Gulf Coast northward. This is going to be a battleground here. Now look, as we get towards the end of the month, it looks like we start to have some of these surges here into parts of the northeast. And as we get some southern systems, this may provide the opportunity for us to get some big-time snows here across parts of the Ohio Valley, lakes, and into parts of the northeast. And Robert sending in some of his photos. Robert Stone here from his daughter Jewel. Take a look at this, the Dunkirk area. Look at that. This was just the other day. A snowy scene, very bitter cold. And as you can see here, here is a nice video showing the extent of the snow and the cold across the area. You can see very, very, very nice captures here. And as you can see, look at that, the snow really breaking out here across the area of Dunkirk. The snow is falling, and it's even tough for the plowing crew to plow the snow. The salt really isn't working at some of these very low temperatures. And looking really nice out there, the nighttime view, that snow kind of gives that, like that glowing effect with, all the street lights and whatnot. Gives it a nice look. As we go back another day here, Jewel also catching these photos. Look at this. Nice ice crystals on the window. Yeah, it gives a really good perspective of how cold things have been the last several days across parts of upstate New York. Nice captures there, Jewel. And here we go, John sending in some photos from Tom Chuttlebush Park from the other day. Look at that. Looking beautiful across the water here. At least you got some flowing water here. Most of the water upstate has frozen over, but looking really nice here. It's an overcast day, but looks like a great time to get out there and enjoy that. By the stream here. Looks really good. There's that nice overcast sky. Looks beautiful despite all that. This time of year, you can find beauty in a lot of the scenery and the backgrounds here. Nice captures, John. All right, so let's take a look at your Canadian weather here. What is going on? All right, let's mix those. There we go. The isobars are catching up with our timeline. Look at this. It looks mostly quiet here. It is bone chill and cold up here in Canada. But look at here into the west coast of Canada. As we head throughout early next week, you're going to be seeing a storm system. Most of the moisture does stay off the coast, but there will be some big time snow here in the mountains and some heavy rain just along the immediate coast. We do have the opportunity as we get towards next week, say the 23rd, 24th, for a big snowstorm here across southern Ontario and Quebec. You can see, let's just zoom in here. That is where the big story of our weather is going to be. And that kind of clips New Brunswick as we head towards the 24th, 25th, Nova Scotia, and Newfoundland. Look at that. High pressure builds in. Just here along the west coast, that's where the big activity, and it does start to make its way inland here as we see a big surge of an area of low pressure. Here's well, you can't really call it an Alberta clipper this far north, but it is some kind of clipper type system up here in a parts of northern Ontario, and that dives southward across parts of Quebec as we head towards the 27th. The trend, though, is very quiet. We will have these systems that kind of break off our Pacific flow in these Alberta clippers. Occasionally, we will get some systems that come up from the south here into parts of southern Quebec, Ontario, and New Brunswick. So snowfall here. What is going on here, Canada? Yeah, west coast of Canada picking up 25, even as much as 50 plus centimeters of snowfall. Most of eastern Canada is pretty well devoid until we get towards, say, Wednesday the 24th, 5th, and 6th here. Look at this. Yeah, southern Ontario and parts of Quebec could see upwards of, say, 30, close to 20 to 30 centimeters here. So let's take a look at the tropics here. I don't want to forget about all of you down here. Look at this. Yeah, it looks like Central America. If you're vacationing from the Yucatan Peninsula down into parts of Central America, you're going to have a little bit of a rainy time of it this weekend into early next week. Now, Jamaica is not looking too bad here. You will have some scattered showers moving through. The Bahamas, especially the northern Bahamas, the stalled out frontal boundary, as we head throughout the weekend here, you could be dealing with showers and thunderstorms, but it's mainly Central America here, especially the Yucatan, where this front really hangs up here and it taps into some tropical moisture. Most of the islands are dry through this weekend, with the exception here as we get towards Monday. Look at some of these showers moving across Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and really gully washers here around Belize and Honduras. That continuing down towards Nicaragua and Costa Rica as well. Look at this. Southern Bahamas may get some rain here around the 23rd next week as that area of trade winds and this frontal boundary kind of come together. And look, we got some moisture here across the Eastern Gulf. Wow, that's a lot of moisture heading up to the north. And look at this. We got a little bit of a wave down here in the southern Caribbean. This is towards January 25th. And look at this. If I just zoom out just a bit, even the southern Lesser Antilles here, look at this. There's a lot of showery weather here, as well as through parts of Puerto Rico and the islands here, the northern Lesser Antilles and the Virgin Islands. And look at this. As we continue to go out in time, we got a little area of disturbance as we head towards the island of Hispaniola towards January 28th. So as we go into the Caribbean here, what is going on? Not a whole lot to talk about as we head into the weekend. Maybe some showers south of Jamaica, mainly the coastal areas of Honduras towards Belize here and the Yucatan Peninsula. If you're vacationing in the Yucatan, it is going to be a bit of a rainy time of it towards Sunday into Monday, and that just propagates towards the east. Bahamas picking up mostly here in the northern Bahamas, upwards of about 16 to 25 millimeters. You know, these areas here, coastal Central America, this is 60 to as much as 100 millimeters. That's getting up towards 2.5, 3 inches of rain. And look at this, eastern end of Jamaica. This is towards Monday into Tuesday. You could be picking up close to 60 millimeters. Give you a solid 1.5 to 2 inches of rain. As we cruise to the eastern Caribbean and the rest of the Atlantic, you can see we have a few areas of disturbances moving through the Lesser Antilles here, but you know, these are mostly light. The island of Hispaniola towards Dominican Republic and Haiti, that is where you're going to see the heavier downpours kicking in as we get towards Monday into Tuesday. And most of the Bahamas staying mostly under, say, 10 millimeters of rainfall. So not too much to talk about there. But as we get towards, say, Sunday, the 28th of January, a little bit of a heavier squally weather moving through the southern Lesser Antilles towards Trinidad and Tobago. And don't go anywhere. I just have more weather here in just a moment. Check out my affiliate here, these awesome maps. Have a look at this.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
So here we go, temperature-wise. The big story is this massive cold blast here, this polar vortex. This is going to be one last surge, I should say, here, Friday into Saturday. Look at those single digits here across parts of the plains and into the northeast, the teens and 20s all the way down here to parts of the deep south, that 32-degree line. But watch this. As we head on into Sunday, there is a big moderation trend here towards the 30s and the 40s here back east. You see that eroding cold snap really eroding here, and look at this. Yeah, we're cracking 40 here across much of the mid-Atlantic, and Ohio Valley, Texas is back into the 60s here, 70s in parts of Florida, 60s there in the Carolinas. This is unusually, look at this. This is like a surge of warmth. Where has winter gone here as we head into next week? It looks like winter takes a hiatus here while it looks like a little bit of a taste of spring surges to the east. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Take a look at this. This is looking really interesting as we go into Friday. Snow is likely. I think we could get upwards of about 2 to 3 inches out of this, closer to 4 inches towards the Wilkes-Barre, Scranton area. And as we head on a Friday night into Saturday, maybe another half an inch to an inch. It gets really cold on Saturday, so if you don't have to go out, don't. It's going to be in the teens. Sunday it warms up a little bit, sunny skies, 23, low to mid 20s. Then look at this, towards Monday, Tuesday, we get into that big warming trend. We might be pushing 40 with a chance of rain. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, a link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.